good shout. While we're on gaming, I mean, we might as well move on to this big question. It's the debate over Xbox X Series, or is the other one the S Series?
Is that no, it's Series X or Series S, yeah,
or Series S, and the PS5 debate. I've seen a video. I mean, you sent it to me, Matt. So I've seen a video this week with early kind of intel and discoveries of the new Xbox, both consoles. And for me, I've been PlayStation guy from PlayStation 1. I had an Xbox 360, I believe it was. I had for a small period of time. It was there. It collected dust. I think I traded it for a PSP with someone, Marc actually, who's another guest on the show. I played it mainly for Gears of War, but I always kept falling back to PlayStation. But having seen the video that showed kind of some of the new features on the Xbox Series X, I was blown away. Absolutely blown away. The loading times, the what does it refer to? Is it quick
resume?
Quick resume. That's it. Quick resume. So literally, you can have like I think 5-6 games on the go all at the same time. Literally, pause the game that you're playing and then go and quick resume another game. And you would literally load up wherever it was you were in that game. Certain games aren't compatible with that particular feature, but by all accounts, a lot of the ones are. But yeah, it blew my mind, and it's the first time ever, and especially with the kind of backwards compatibility of the Xbox, going right back to the original one, I believe. There's going to be a huge library there. PlayStation haven't revealed what they're doing with regards to whether you can play older games just yet. But for me, there seems to be a lot of things that are kind of swinging it in the direction of Xbox for me. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I've done a bit of research over this, knowing that we were going to do this topic and stuff. And I mean, there's always that compelling argument with both consoles when they come out of what's best to get and what's not best to get. I'm the same as you. I've always been a PlayStation guy. I did have one of the early Xboxes, but I struggled with the controller in the early days. I don't know if that would be different now. Of course, I mean, I know that the Xbox, consoles have evolved since those days, but I've always been through and through a PlayStation guy. But looking at both, I mean, it seems PlayStation's going more that traditional route of you needing the console, and you get that sort of next gen experience through that. But with Xbox, I've seen that there looks to be some changes that maybe you can also compatible with PC as well. So it looks like they will be able to do like this next gen of consoling, but maybe even without needing so much of the Xbox software. So that could be quite an interesting twist of it going forward. But I was really impressed by the look of the graphics and stuff. But I'm always one of those time will tell kind of guys. I'm not one to jump straight in. I like to sit back and see what games are released and how things develop over the first sort of 6 to 12 months. And I think that both consoles taking such different approaches, I think it's going to be fun to sit back and see what the good reviews are coming out over the next few months before making that decision.
I agree. I think it's very easy to kind of jump. I mean, again, I'll mention him again. Marc, I know, has already pre-ordered his PS5. And I think there's, a lot of people are swayed by certain things. I don't know about you, Matt, and I'll get your thoughts on it in a second, but things like exclusives is a big draw. So, I mean, that could be something that swings it to people. Again, if you've had history with a certain console, I think we discussed off the show, Matt, that loyalty is sometimes quite a big thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had a PlayStation in the past. I've had PlayStation 2, but since the original Xbox came out, I've used Xbox, and so you've got that. I've had my account for years. You have all your catalogue of games, and with the backwards compatibility, it's great. I've got games that I bought on the 360 that are still there, and they're still able to be played and will continue to be played. I just like, I think, sort of hardware and that aside, a bit of what Steve said a second ago, their vision, which I think is quite clever of Xbox, that is that they don't mind where you play it. As you know, it's that sort of, we'll provide the games, we'll provide the service. It's up to you how you digest that information, or how you play in the game. So, like, for the current generation, there have been certain games where if you get it on an Xbox, it's also compatible with a PC, and their Game Pass, the Game Pass Ultimate's the same. You buy that one subscription, you can have the games on the PC, or you can have it on the Xbox. They're now doing that you can stream to mobile, so you can hook your Xbox controller up to a mobile phone. You can stream the game directly to that. So I think that's, they're looking to the future and doing it in a very different way to Sony. Sony, I think, in a way, is still, every generation they seems to have said, oh, but we've got exclusive games. We've got our exclusive games. You can't get them anywhere. And sticking to that narrative, whereas Microsoft are thinking, well, people don't always want to use an Xbox. They don't always want to use a computer. They might want to play on a mobile phone. Let's let them do that. You know, that makes perfect sense because it fits around them. And with their last week, I think it was, they made a huge acquisition of, like, I can't remember how many, something like 20 plus game studios. Again, to add to their Game Pass and to be able to put their product out as far as they can. And interestingly, some of the game studios they purchase actually own some of the exclusive PlayStation titles. So, you know, again,
you could see them take ownership of them.
They're making money from PlayStation. You know, great, buy a PlayStation, we own those games, so we're still going to get revenue from it, which is, you know.
Yeah, was one of them Crash Bandicoot? Because that for me was always a PlayStation game.
That's right, actually.
And I have seen when I've been doing a bit of research that Crash Bandicoot was saying that it's about time, it's finally here, sort of thing, which, I mean, one of the things we talked about on last week's show was about having that kind of, I'm not saying it's going to be the mascot for Xbox at all, but it was that kind of Mario, Sonic, and then I always used to think of PlayStation with Crash Bandicoot. That was the one for me.
I remember having it. It's great.
Yeah, it's a great game. But I think that could be a big draw. I mean, my number one game from last week, for those who didn't listen, and I know it's one of Steve's favourites as well, is Football Manager. Now, Xbox have acquired the rights to get that onto Xbox. It's another big draw for me. I mean, I play it predominantly on the laptop or on PC, so it's not the same version, but again, it's another kind of alternative to go with. I just think people can, and something you've said there is about kind of loyalty to a brand or to something like that. I was always the same with Sony. I used to always have Sony TVs. I grew up with having Sony technology in the house, even when I lived at home with my parents. And it wasn't until recently that I upgraded and moved from Sony to an LG, which, I mean, the LG has blown my mind. Like, it's an awesome TV. It's the same with mobile phones. I used to always be on Apple and with iPhone until Matt convinced me to move to the dark side of Android, which I have not looked back, and I will continue to tell people they're wasting their money on Apple and iPhone, who are trying to take money from you all the time. So, although Matt did then jump back to Apple, but less said about that.
But I'm back again.
He is back again. We've allowed him to rejoin us. But yeah, I do feel that sometimes. I mean, I don't feel like something Steve mentioned there about the controllers. I mean, I do remember the old Xbox 360 controllers feeling a little bit bulky compared to
they were huge, the old ones.
Compared to a PlayStation, which have pretty much stayed the same all throughout. You know, they might have got a little bit bigger, but I mean, you still hold a PlayStation controller now and feel comfortable with it. But I having not played on an Xbox One, but I have seen the controllers have been adapted, so they're smaller, Matt.
Yeah, they're a lot smaller now. And again, it's been nice. You saying sort of like the evolution on the PlayStation one. It's been the same for me with the Xbox. I haven't had an Xbox since the beginning. Apart from, I think when the very first Xbox came out, it was huge. They now call it the Duke controller because it was like beast. Whereas now they've sort of just done a subtle revision each time of the controller, and Absolutely love them.
Oh, I'm sorry, Matt.
No, I was just going to say, interestingly, on the Series X, looking at the controllers for that, for the Xbox One, there's an Elite controller, which has the D-pad on it is slightly different than that. And it seems like from the Series X, basically they've taken a lot from the high-end controller for the Xbox One and had that standard.
I think another, just to finish off on this, I think one of the big things for me as well is the being able to access it across different platforms, like you said, either on your phone or on your computer. And I think Nintendo might have almost given a bit of a helping hand with that with the Switch, because that is something that you can go from being a handheld to just drop in and then it's on your screen. You know, it's brilliant. You've got one of them, Matt, haven't you?
Yeah, I've, and the one bonus of that the other day, for example, we had a power cut at the weekend because of the bad weather. Which, much to my son's frustration, so, what are we going to do? It's Saturday morning and we're normally on the Xbox. But the Switch was there, it was fully charged, they propped it up, they had a controller each, and they were, playing Mario Kart and so on it. It's fantastic. You know, you can stick it in your bag, you can plug it into the telly, whatever you want. They're great.
Good.